Spotify doesn't make any money on music. Their whole basically upside is in podcasting, which is a platform business. Spotify is at a critical crossroads. Do they succumb to thought censorship and 1984 thought police tactics? Or do they actually act more like a platform than Facebook and Google? So Spotify been in the news lately with the controversy over Joe Rogan. You know, I should put controversy in air quotes. The controversy is really that Spotify has not canceled Joe Rogan like every other media company out there, like every other platform company out there. And this is actually the really pinnacle moment for Spotify and Daniel Ek. I actually met Daniel Ek many years ago. I bet you Daniel's looking at what's going on in the US over all the uproar over this Joe Rogan thing and somewhat laughing to himself about how silly us Americans are. Net, this is amazing for Spotify. Spotify couldn't get any more free earned media out of this whole situation. It's not even possible, right? This Joe Rogan deal has been wonders for Spotify. Genius decision. Bunch of charts on Joe Rogan having a much larger audience than basically all of like the cable news networks combined. The guy's on fire. And, you know, this is a pinnacle moment because Spotify historically is not a platform business. They're a linear business. When you look at their music streaming business, as we've talked about many times before on the show, and this article here from The Information really details why they're predominantly a linear business. And it says, yeah, look, like in certain quarters, Spotify has really nice free cash flow. But basically, all they're doing when they generate that free cash flow is holding the cash from their membership subscription revenue and basically paying it all out to the record label agencies, right? So they make kind of intermittent or maybe more like annual payments to the record labels. And in the in-between quarters, it looks like they have a bunch of free cash flow. But that money is basically all owed to the record labels. And they're just kind of saving up the money in reserve to make those record label payments, which is a symptom of them being a linear business. And the reason why they're a linear business in music is because music is so consolidated, right? Basically, we've talked about the RIAA, the Record Industry Association of America, is the central negotiating arm of all the four big record labels that controls, 90+% of all the music. And so they're able to negotiate extremely aggressively with Spotify to make very generous royalty payments to the record labels. If this was a fragmented market with a bunch of fragmented supply, that dynamic would not exist. Spotify would be able to make actual margin, but they haven't been able to do that because of an extremely consolidated supply. And in the past few years, they have promoted finding alternative sources of fragmented supply, such as podcasting. We have been very bullish on this endeavor. That's a true platform opportunity, fragmented supply from the podcasting universe. And then in the past couple of years, we've documented, really loved their move to bring Joe Rogan, a single user marquee strategy. You bring some really big name producers that draws a lot of audience to the platform. It's worked out very successfully. Others have been more skeptical of this. You got Ben Thompson writing on this topic. I know for a fact that I've undervalued this multi-pronged strategy in terms of Spotify's approach to podcasting. Podcasts don't simply mean the opportunity to build an advertising network, but also drive new subscribers for Spotify. This is because Ben Thompson doesn't care about supply-driven network effects. He's all focused on his aggregator theory, which is focused all about demand. The key thing of platform business models is that it's demand and supply. You have fragmented consumer customer base and fragmented producer base. Ben Thompson would also not like the FTC, Lena Khan's new favorite word called monopsony. Watch our video on the new word monopsony and how we've been calling it correctly for years, that platforms take advantage of a key customer called suppliers. Spotify's critical decision, Daniel Ek, CEO, Swedish CEO, founder and CEO of Spotify, basically saying he needs to make the decision, will he be like Facebook and other content tech platforms that want to censor their users, both consumers and producers? Will he basically take that fatal pill, which has now caused the exodus, caused Facebook's 20% drop in stock price overnight, a platform that doesn't help facilitate connections and bring suppliers and consumers together, but instead decides what is appropriate to be talked about, what is not appropriate to be talked about. And I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think he's going to fall to the dark side. I think Daniel Ek will choose the right path, the correct path, which is to promote free speech rather than limit it. And here's one example why Daniel did in this Masters of Scale podcast. And there's a couple things here in the transcript that I thought was pretty interesting. He's talking about, in Sweden, there's something called the Allemansrätten. I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's literally translation is every man's right. And this comes at the core of Swedish. For instance, if you own a piece of property in Sweden, people are allowed to walk your property. The property is large enough, they're actually even allowed to tent at your property for 24 hours. You say, okay, how does that relate to censoring Joe Rogan? At the end of this interview, he goes, at the end of the day, it's about trust. And if you say that what you're going to do and then keep on doing that, you will do pretty well. If you think about what we're now trying to do as a public company, it's exactly that. Consistency over time is about trust, says Reid Hoffman. He goes, indeed, Ek does. How can your users trust you if you, as the platform, now determine what is appropriate to be talked about? The answer is they can't. Because that line, once you cross that chasm, once you open Pandora's box on content censorship, can't put the genie back in the bottle. There is now no rule, and that line will always shift more in the direction of censorship than back in the direction of not censorship. And so for maybe these couple quotes, I think shed on some of his background, some of my conversations many, many years ago with him. I don't think he's going to allow him and his company to fall victim to this madness, predominantly in the United States, around censorship, thought policing, 1984 type tactics, which you can now clearly see the proof is in the pudding for Facebook not doing so hot. Why? Why is Facebook not doing so hot? And because they're banning their users from doing the actual thing that Facebook needs, which is to engage and create content and interact on the platform. And Facebook is actively cramping down on that. It's insane. It's actually insane. So I wish Spotify the best. It's very difficult waters for them to navigate. I think they're doing a great job on it so far, and I don't think they'll fall victim to this. Hi, I'm Alex. Thanks for watching the show. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, but even better, make sure to follow us on Odyssey, follow us on Rumble, and text us 203-646-5159. Text the word Monopoly. You'll be subscribed. You'll get updates about when we're going live, our latest videos, and we'll send you even a little goodie bag. And in the event that we all get banned from big tech, we'll still be connected.